Hello everyone and welcome to the webtalk on the topic on how to develop an existing sport application when you have a fixed budget and why it's worth it. The webtalk is based on the case of GetSet Train Smarter application, which is co-owned by the International Olympic Committee. My name is Gabriela Staniszewska and I work as a project manager at NoA Ignite Poland, where on a daily basis I cooperate with clients from Scandinavia. And I help facilitating an end-to-end process of building digital products. And why am I speaking to you today about this subject? In early 2021, I helped coordinate the project of building a GetSet Train Smarter application, and it was a great opportunity to learn about product development in specific business conditions. So some lessons were learned and we want to share them with you, especially if you want to work on a mobile application and you have a fixed budget. So in this web talk, I'm gonna cover the following aspects. I'm gonna start with giving you some very basic info about the mobile application, GetSet mobile application. And then I'm gonna speak about the benefits of investing in product development. And when you finally decide to invest, I'm gonna give you some hints and tips on how to decide what features to include, especially if you have a fixed budget. Okay, so let's start with giving you some basic information about the application, about GetSet Train Smarter application. It was developed back in 2014, and the main idea behind the application was to provide people with evidence-based workouts that could help them prevent getting sport injuries. So the application is filled with scientifically researched exercises presented through videos and short descriptions on how to perform the exercises that people can include in their daily workout routines. The ownership of the application is shared between the International Olympic Committee and Oslo Trauma Research Center, which is responsible for delivering the content for the application. The end users of the application are sport professionals, both athletes and their coaches, and sport amateurs. So what the application could do back in 2014, let me just give you a brief walk through the basic functionalities that we had back then. So of course, users could browse through the exercises grouped by sport discipline and body parts. They could, of course, access a single exercise view, which included a video and a short description on how to perform the exercise. Also, a nice functionality included the possibility to share the list of exercises, in a PDF format that the user could send to someone else using an email. The application was and still is available in several language versions and was free to use and is still free to use for everyone from the start. But as you can imagine, some years passed and not much happened in terms of product development. And during that time, the application only went under some content-related changes, like adding new exercises or adding new language versions. Of course, we also fixed some bugs that were found in the application, but it's not much in terms of product development and adding new features that could attract new users. So as you can probably imagine, 7 years, especially in times of rapid digital transformation, is like an era almost. And what we saw as a decent product back in 2014 became an almost obsolete mobile application in 2021. So what are the benefits of investment in product development? In early 2020, we approached our clients and offered them a technology update. The update also included a slight redesign of the application based on the modern trends, and basically was aimed at refreshing the application itself. But why did we do that in the first place? So from a technical perspective, when you're using an outdated technology, which was the GetSet mobile application case, it becomes extremely difficult to find specialists who could simply maintain the application and naturally the costs of maintenance are super high. The money that can be spent elsewhere, like for example improving user experience or simply updating the technology, are eaten up by the maintenance budget. So from the financial perspective, the yearly cost of the application maintenance equals 30% of the total update budget, which helped us convince the client that the update may be the beginning of actually working on further application development. It actually allowed the client to see that the money, the budget they spent on the application development can be now spent on adding new functionalities requested by the users, or simply making the application super attractive to users by its nice design. So in the case of GetSet mobile application, we convinced the client that it's simply good for their budget to save the money or simply invest it elsewhere. But what happens if the product, the mobile application, is meant to generate money, generate revenue? Why investment in product development is crucial? There is one big reason for that. Simply, if we invest in product development, we attract new users to the application, and we also retain the users that are already using the application. So, since users are mostly the ones who generate income for the application, it's super important to never stop working on your product, because once you do that, people may simply stop using your application. It's especially important on the sports and fitness application markets, because products available on these markets compete with one another with great design, great functionalities, the ability to customize your experience using the application, and simply not investing in your product may, in this specific case, lead to a product's death. Or, as it was in the case of the GetSet mobile application, to the product becoming obsolete and not attractive to the users. So the conclusion is that even if the product seems to be a good market fit at the beginning, as it was in the case of GetSet mobile application, you should never stop investing in user experience and updating the technology. It can only bring positive returns, not only in terms of attracting and retaining users in the application, but most importantly in terms of generating income. Okay, then how to decide what features you would like to have in the application, especially if you have a fixed budget? As it turns out, the case when we would like to work on some specific product, add some specific features, but we have a fixed budget, is not only specific for NGOs or public institutions. Many companies operate on fixed budgets, and they approach us with a question: how can we decide on what features we would like to have in the application? What can we do? And with the following example of GetSet application, I'm gonna show you how we approach it here at NoA Ignite Poland. So the story with the GetSet mobile application continues, and once the client secured the budget for the tech update that we offered them in early 2020, it turned out that they managed to find extra funds for adding the functionalities requested specifically by their users. So the client wanted to add the possibility to create custom training programs and wanted to enable the users to share them with others in some simple and intuitive way. So it's a common scenario that the clients approach us saying, yes, we would like to have this and this feature in the application, in the products that we have, but we also have a fixed budget. So what can we do with it? What can we do about it? And what we propose here at NoA Ignite Poland is usually starting with a product development roadmap and starting with an MVP version of the product. So now let me give you a brief explanation what a roadmap and an MVP is. A roadmap is a strategic tool, kind of a guide for both the product development team and the clients, where we show how the product is gonna be developed, what are the major milestones that we're gonna have along the way, what features are gonna be added, included in the product's development, and when can we expect specific results. An MVP is a minimum viable product, so a very basic and simple version of the product that we work on, and it's usually placed at the very start of the product development roadmap. And what an MVP helps us with is basically validating our idea with the markets and with the users. And it helps us see if there is a need for such product on the market and if there is a potential to monetize our product in the future. So it's the safest, simplest, and cost-effective way to check if our idea simply makes sense. In the case of GetSet application, starting with an MVP allows us to deliver the client the best value for money. So we stripped down the functionalities that the client wanted to their very basic versions, and it was the first step to improve the user experience in the application and basically give people a better quality product. So how do we approach the process of deciding what an MVP is? It's usually a 3-step process. The first step is working with a project manager or a product manager, UX designer and tech advisor on deciding what features the client would like to have and what can we do about them. What are the needs of the users, what are the needs of the clients, and basically what the client would like to have in the application. The second step is deciding and stripping down these functionalities to their basic versions and extensions that we can add later on in order to develop the specific functionality, in order to develop the product. And based on that, in the third step, we can make estimations, time estimations, and approach the client with the final cost of delivering the MVP version and other extensions. And based on that, based on the client's budget, we can decide what can we build, what can we include in the MVP version of the application, of the product, and then decide what we would like to add later on and what is the time frame for that. So now let me show you the process of the MVP building on the case of GetSet mobile application. And let's start with going back to what the application looked like back in 2014 when it was first developed, and what were the core functionalities that we then reintroduced in the application. So what we started with in 2014 was an application based on content. So the users could access the application and find exercises grouped by sport discipline, body parts. They could access the last used exercises, and of course they could see a single exercise view with a video and description of the exercise. So what we proposed the client for the MVP version based on the client's requirements and their budget is an application with an updated technology framework and new, bold, modern design based on current trends for sports and fitness applications. Of course, as the client wished, we added the possibility to create custom training programs. Now users can compose their own training programs based on the content and exercises available in the application. And the training programs can have number of sets, number of rounds and repetitions of the exercises, and all of that is set up by the user themselves. And users can also share their custom training programs using Messenger, WhatsApp, texting or email. What is more, the users can also cast their trainings, their video trainings on other devices, and they can exercise in an offline mode, which is a great opportunity to allow you exercise from anywhere in the world. Such approach allows us to build upon the MVP features in the future, and as an exemplary functionalities that we can add to the GetSet mobile application are, for example, the ability to create a training planner, a training diary, and we can also add push notifications that will remind you about your training. So what we ended up with in 2021 is an application that has a bold and modern design and that allows the users to personalize their experience. So right now the GetSet application is definitely more competitive on the market and attracts users with its new features, with its new look. Great gratification for that was that the International Olympic Committee made the GetSet mobile application an official application of the Tokyo 2020 Summer Olympic Games. Okay then, so thank you for your attention, and if you have any questions, if you struggle with a similar case, or if you would simply like to talk to our experts, go to our website noaignite.pl/contacts and book a free consultation.